All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the real world of AI. I'm Lior of Battery Ventures. And today I'm joined by my co host, Barak Schoster, an ex cybersecurity founder turned investor. We have the pleasure talking to Pawan Agarwal, VP of AI at Hackerone. Pawan's built AI platforms at Microsoft and Salesforce, and he's now bringing that experience into cybersecurity, leading efforts to make AI both powerful and safe in one of the most high stakes domain there is. Let's get started. Pawan, thanks for being here. Before we dive in, maybe take a minute to introduce yourself. And for the listeners who may not be familiar, tell us what HackerOne does and how AI fits into that mission right now.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks, Lior and Barak, for having me on your podcast. So,
Of
super
course.
excited to be here. Uh, so, I have a little bit about myself. I joined HackerOne as VP of AI about 3 months back, and for I've been doing technology for 25 plus years and AI for 10 plus when AI was not this cool as well. Uh, I have done AI at Microsoft, where I built their uh, Azure ML Studio and Azure Data Factory. And I did at Salesforce, I basically helped them build their search systems and AI, infuse AI in that, and help build Einstein AI platform, which became now Salesforce Agent Force. So I have been doing AI for some time, and now I'm at HackerOne. HackerOne, their mission is basically to make internet a safer place. Let's talk about that. So what HackerOne does, and they have been doing, is they have this amazing bug bounty program, which allows companies to catch vulnerabilities after they have done all their security testing, and when their product is public and external security researchers find issues. uh, and now in the and then they have their different offensive security offerings like pen testing. And now in AI world, they are now trying to make all of these offerings agentic. So for example, they are basically enabling in the bug bounty program how they can make AI security researchers more productive with AI, and uh, the way software co-pilots like Cursor and Windsurfs have improved the productivity of coding engineers. How can AI agents improve productivity of security researchers? Like that's one kind of thought process. Second big area is now with AI. Uh, you can now use the bad guys are using AI and AI agents to kind of make hack into systems and break systems. So I think we need to enable use AI to uh, prevent and protect our systems. So I think that is another big area which I am very excited about, and that takes the form of agentic pen testing, which is another offering basically HackerOne is giving, which is around how can you use AI agents to improve the productive, basically agentically pen test your system in a continuous threat exposure management uh, orientation. And then the third big area is security for AI. As AI is becoming big, AI itself needs to get secured. So how can you use again AI and AI agents to secure AI? So that's third area. And the fourth is, as everybody is using AI to build, basically using AI to write code, and there is a lot of code which is being generated through AI, and everybody's worried about AI slop in that world. So how can you basically again use do AI code reviews and AI security reviews to make sure that what you are producing is actually safe? So that kind of goes into using AI to protect all the code you are building in a SaaS motion. So, like HackerOne has now kind of we are trying to evolve them from this where they had all of these bug bounty and pen testing programs to now this HackerOne 2.0, where they are now giving all of these, I would say, different agentic AI offerings across the whole uh, threat exposure spectrum.
Pawan,
Awesome.
this is a fascinating transition for a cybersecurity company to go through. And I remember I used to be a customer of Hackerone, and a few years ago it was kind of a two-sided marketplace where I had access to the most talented cybersecurity experts, and I've asked them to hack my staging environment so I'll be able to discover vulnerabilities early on before a malicious actor have done it. And they were human. They might have been using tools and automations and scripts, but all of them have been human pen testers that I could communicate with, assuming they're certified through the HackerOne solution. Now that you're introducing AI agents to do some of their work, how do you advocate that solution both to the hackers in the marketplace of the bug bounty program and also to the customers who are kind of used to talk with a human on the results and the finding, and now I'm guessing talking with a bot? How's that transition, and how did you message that to both sides of the equation?
I think that's first of all that's a really great point, and definitely something which we have given a lot of thought about. So I think the fundamental point to that is it is not AI versus humans; it is AI and humans. And the key message there is we see AI augmenting and making humans more productive. So by taking on the low hanging fruits, the easy tasks, and removing the grunt work across all the spectrum of what they do. So, for example, in the uh, in the bug bounty programs, for example, we allow AI to uh, make the report submission from the logs pretty much automatic. Like earlier, even after you have done all your testing, you need to now figure out what are your vulnerabilities, format them in a specific way, do all that work to actually do a submission so that people can understand it. uh, AI can now do it for you. Similarly, uh, when the reports are submitted right now, humans and triagers on hacker one side has to triage them and validate them before it can get uh, before it kind of flows to customers who actually requested that bug bounty. And that by itself is a it used to be a very long process. So from the customer perspective, the biggest benefit of all of this AI is that they get very high velocity from the bug submission to when they actually get the bug reports and validated bugs. So that's another kind of a big area. So the overall, if you see, on the hacker side, we are improving their productivity across the spectrum of all the things they do, from the grunt work like report submission, but also for some of these uh, capabilities like recon. Earlier, the hackers would have to go and figure out what is on the site, what are the capabilities, what to test, what not to test, all on their own. Now we are doing, as part of the agentic pen testing and various agent umbrella, things like recon agents, which will allow you to them to understand the site just by running that agent and figuring out what is important, what is not important. That speeds up the uh, AI security researchers. Similarly, the the agents will try to find some low hanging vulnerabilities, like some easy stuff, like for example running some basic reflected xss test, and those kind of capabilities. So I would say that from the hacker perspective, it makes them a lot more productive because it takes away a lot of the grunt work, a lot of the low hanging fruits, and allows them to focus on where they actually want to focus on, which is finding those hard, elusive, novel vulnerabilities. And I think that's where it's a co AI and human story versus AI versus human story. And then on the company side, the biggest thing is on the customer side, they get from the they get more productive security researchers. So what that gives them is a velocity. I think the biggest thing which companies are clamoring for is pen testing and security research is slow. They want much higher scale in that. They want to do it on more of their assets, and they are not able to because the speed at which the whole thing works is, I believe, not AI age ready. And I think in last 3 years, something has flipped where everybody expects much higher velocity, much higher speed in all of these kind of operations. So there's an implicit expectation, at least, and I talk to customers that all of these things have to be at the AI age velocity, which is much, much higher. So it
One,
by bringing agents.
sorry, I want to jump with a quick question related to this. And if you look at where we are today versus you look at the medium to long term roadmap, sounds like most of the offering today is around like Copilot and productivity, and maybe in the future we'll go into more automation. Like, what's the split right now? Between full automation and Copilot offering versus what will be in the future. Are we going to get to
So
90, 100% automation in some areas?
so I would say right now the split is more like, you're right, there's a lot more focus on co-pilots, and we have areas like agentic pen testing. We do about like some automation and on the low hanging fruits. I'm sure as the capabilities of AI improves, we will do more and more automation. But do we see humans kind of completely gone? I would say no. And I think that's where I will draw parallel to AI coding. So the most advanced agents in this like in the whole AI world are in the coding area. And they, if you look at like 2 years back or 3 years back, they had the same journey, which was they started as co-pilots who was doing super low hanging fruits, and most people will say, okay, hey, they are okay but not super effective, but good for getting started. And today they are at the best still, they are more like a 70 or 60 70% kind of a more, they kind of help you, but there is still that 30-40% which they have not replaced human coders, and human coders are still needed to make the final products. And yes, on the super low and easy apps, people can vibe code it, and that's great, and one person can do it. But for complex apps, you still need small teams. And I think the same orientation will happen in, if you look at like 2 3 years or 4 years down the line on this uh, cybersecurity area, where the kind of work, like the natural progression is everybody will become more productive. So you will need fewer of those things, but they will be so heavily productive. It'll never be that AI is doing everything or is able to completely replace humans. I think I kind of believe in human ingenuity and human creativity, that there will always be things that humans will do better, and we will basically need that human plus AI versus human versus AI. And but human productivity will absolutely continue to go up. In the whole curve of productivity in cybersecurity, we are in terms of productivity where AI coding was like 2 years back. So there is a lot more to do. And if you look at the AI coding as a bellwether of where the industry is going, humans are not getting replaced. They are more productive, and a small team is able to do big things. I believe same orientation will happen in cybersecurity as well.
You're kind of drawing the line between the art piece of hacking a system and the science piece. And you're saying there will always be creativity in breaking a product, a web product or a server hosted product. So we'll always need humans. And I think that one of the things that is most fascinating about HackerOne is that you have all of the data, because you have all of the findings that hacker had through the history, tagged, associated, labeled. You have the comments and feedback from the customer side saying, hey, it's a true finding, false positive, false negative, true positive, true negative. And you have this amazing label data on what it takes to break a product. Do you use that kind of unique data set that only HackerOne has to do some kind of reinforcement learning and to improve your own AI and the productivity of the hackers?
So I think you hit on one of the big assets HackerOne has. You're absolutely right. It is our 12 years worth of history of level data with all the different vulnerabilities which have been found, which were not caught by traditional security testing mechanisms and only through AI security researchers. You're absolutely right. And we do use that data. We have still not realized full potential of that yet, but that is definitely one of the areas which we are using to advance our AI systems. As you kind of rightly said, HackerOne has data on all the different kinds of vulnerabilities, all the different classes, what worked, what did not work, the exact repro steps. We do take some of that data anonymization and some of that the fact that the data contains company specific sensitive data very seriously. So we don't train on the or we don't use the raw data as is, because that is very sensitive for companies, but we do um, uh, look at, basically we kind of try to derive the data where we remove all the sensitive stuff and try to figure out actual essence of the vulnerability, which is basically, okay, hey, what is the actual in a software, what has actually happened versus company specific details, and there is an art to that as well. And with that derived data, basically we are trying to kind of make our AI systems better and smarter. So that is definitely one of the things which we want to do more of, and we definitely feel we have a unique advantage in industry because of that. But have we realized full potential of that yet? Probably not yet.
And
It's
maybe asking around that question of customer trust. You're touching with your agent and what you're building, kind of, high stakes areas. How do you decide what do you want to automate? How much autonomy you give to an agent to kind of balance between, AI is still non-deterministic, but you usually want the accuracy, you want speed, you also want to gain the end customer trust or the hacker trust. How do you balance all that in deciding what's for humans, what's for agents?
So I think you're right. I think, for example, in agentic pen tests, uh, guardrails are super important. If you leave the agents by themselves, they can go and basically probably harm the system, and customers would not want that. Humans typically have judgment that they don't break the system, or if they see something can break the system. For example, if they have a SQL injection vulnerability, they know that we should only execute read commands or show table commands which do not change the database. And how do you make sure that agents are similarly kind of careful? So you need to have definitely a lot of guardrails built into agents as you kind of create some of these autonomous systems. And we want that's where human in the loop is critical for some of these things. And that's why, again, that's one more reason why it's not humans versus AI, it's human and AI. uh, Humans will always have that solid judgment, and the AI which gets kind of configured and guardrails put in place, they are like for anything sensitive and anything where you are taking a big action. You want to make sure that you have gotten approval from a human in the loop. And so I think the key thing to kind of learn there is the kind of the guardrails you need to put in AI so that you can have AI behave responsibly and AI behave with restraint versus going full on, oh, they have discovered a vulnerability and they're now trying to kind of break it even further.
Is there any interesting example of um, an agent you built or something where AI really surprised you, either for better or worse, or something that blew up and you were like, "Oh, what the hell?"
I think we have been building AI with guardrails in mind from the day one. So that has been something which has been super important for us, where we are very, very cognizant of the fact. We are very cognizant of the fact that we don't want AI to cause harm, and I think so. We have been kind of putting a lot of guardrails into AI, and so I think that's where probably we are trying to be at this point more on the side of being cautious versus letting AI do a lot of things uh, unchecked. So I think we will come from the approach that we need to give AI a lot more control versus uh, letting it kind of go free very, very widely.
What's the worst that could happen?
If you let it unchecked, the worst things which can happen probably, like for example, I was giving you a SQL injection. So a human pen tester, for example, even with these vulnerabilities, the worst they can do is you can take a system down. Somebody can lose the data, and the data could be sensitive. So that data loss and system availability issues, I think those are the kind of things which even human pen testers can cause when they find vulnerabilities, and that's why these are ethical security researchers, where they know and understand that boundary and try to not do this. We need to make sure that that kind of intelligence is infused into AI as well, where it acts with that responsibility and ethics. And I think that sometimes is hard for AI probably, so you have to kind of put some guardrails in place.
And when AI agents are taking actions, as a company that is hosting and serving now AI agents, and previously you facilitated human hackers, do you see the line of liability moving from the human hackers that you certified now to your AI agent? How do customers look at that movement of
I think
liability?
that's a really good point. I think for there are two answers to that. One is yes, we Hacker1 as part of doing the autonomous pen testing needs to be more responsible, and we need to kind of own that responsibility. So that's one piece. At the same time, we again in the pure motion of it is not humans versus AI. We want all the outputs of AI and everything which AI is doing to be reviewed by the pen testers, and it to be done in a way where it gives pen testers additional information versus it is uh, competing with pen testers. I don't think we are looking at it as a competition. We are looking at it as a corporation. And in that world, for the autonomous part, which HackerOne uh, executes, yeah, we need to take our responsibility. But from the overall execution perspective, it's a corporation, and we want to make hackers more productive, give them a lot more information, and have them review the work of AI, as well as AI take pen testers' help where it feels it needs human guidance.
That's super helpful and a super interesting transition generally in software, AI, and humans that are working together to make the internet a safer place.
Exactly. And I think something to realize there is it is all a learning. I think it's not that we know, at least from my perspective, I know all the answers, and this area has matured, and we can kind of, there's a lot more maturity to be had and a lot more learnings to be had. So I'm sure we'll learn some things and we'll figure out, and we'll overall at least I feel we are coming from the place that we need to make everybody successful, and we are hoping we will with this approach.
I have a friend that works in one of the AI labs, and I've asked him how it is like to try to build the next generation of models, the next generation of agents, and he told me that he feels like he's in an Asimov book, and he's calling himself the AI psychiatrist. He's talking with the AI, trying to understand where it's working well, and where we know about hallucinations, but there is also other symptoms. So it's giving it a pill, a medicine, to start acting better. So it sounds like in that hand-in-hand transition of taking AI and a hacker and facilitating to the customer, you're going through a similar transition, facilitating that superpower to your customers.
I think that's I think that's fair to say. In the end, we are creating something which will make people more productive, and they can do a lot more with that, do it responsibly, but kind of build something which allows you to now do things faster and better. uh, so I think, yeah, the world will change, and with AI coming in into all aspects of our, not just hacking, like a whole society, I think all of these kind of patterns and how we do some of these, how do we live with AI, I think we as society will learn some of that stuff, and we will figure out basically what works and what does not work collectively.
And now, as a builder, do you have like a go-to tech stack to work with the AI, the tools that you recommend the listening builders of this podcast? Hey, you have to try those 5 tools. Those have made me the best AI psychiatrist or AI builder here in HackerOne or previously at your role at Salesforce.
I would say I would not be in a prescriptive mode that, okay, hey, there's only one tool to build AI, but here's what I will kind of give a little bit of a flavor of. So there are, like, I think, different layers of AI agent capabilities in the market, and I will kind of talk about that a little bit. So if you look at it, there are tools which are very, very purpose built AI. For example, Writer.ai, Jasper AI, or which are very targeted towards a specific domain, and they give you everything and you don't have to code anything. They're right out of the box, like Granola of the world or some things where you can use it and be very productive. I think those are the at the top layer. There is no customization. They are very much purpose built, domain specific. Second layer of AI agents is where you have these WYSIWYG and low code tools, like for example N8N or uh, Flowise or Salesforce Agent Force. And I think these are also great for people who are looking to build simple agents, or agents which basically they don't want to invest a lot of time coding in and building and maintaining themselves. And that is great for people who are solving like a contained and a little bit kind of a smaller domain space, and that allows them to be successful. And the last layer is or the third layer is, which is where you have a lot of tools which are basically feels like libraries and kind of a building blocks, like for example OpenAI SDK. You have langfuse, langchain, you got different libraries around reasoning. We have reasoning models. You choose which models work for you. You probably do AI inferencing yourself to manage your cost. uh, and in that world, uh, if you want to build the most sophisticated agents which can do like most sophisticated things, that is the layer you probably want to operate on, because that was what allows you to build the key capabilities of your agents. And some of the key capabilities in all of that world is around things like reasoning and planning. Like agents needs to be able to reason and plan, and yes, you can use reasoning LLM, but if that's the only thing you're relying on, you're probably not going to be very successful. You need to have your own reasoning and planning on top of it, which is domain specific. Like I think the biggest thing in this world, for example, is LLMs don't, for example, cybersecurity world, they don't understand cybersecurity domain. uh, if you look at the current LLMs, the cybersecurity knowledge they have been infused with is rather mediocre, and they know some stuff. Obviously they have crawled all the websites, but they don't have the level of sophistication they have, for example, for coding area, where they have been trained on terabytes and terabytes of coding data. That has not happened for on the security world. So in that world, how do you build an agent, and then then the kind of the agent's responsibility becomes to realize the fact that LLMs are not as sophisticated, and now they have the responsibility to infuse that knowledge. And what that means, the design patterns, how do you use it, all the different data, RAG, memory systems. There are a lot of technologies which kind of go into kind of building these sophisticated agents. And there's no one way of doing that. I'm sure everybody is doing different things. But the key part is you need to be at that layer where you are actually building agents from pretty much from scratch versus using a pre-built automation layer which will help you build. They will not help you build sophisticated agents. That's basically probably the broadest picture I'll paint. And how you do engineering around that is a art. You can use different things.
This might be a good segue to talk a little bit about your experience at Salesforce. As far as I understand, you help kind of scale and improve the reliability of Einstein. So, tell us a little bit about that project and what are the kind of the key achievement there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked at Salesforce for about 10 years, and I have been kind of helping them build AI platforms for probably eight of those. So I think the last one was around helping build Salesforce Agent Force. I helped them build it. So Agent Force, if you look at it, it is an amazing system. It is very very sophisticated. It allows customers to build their in the CRM area agents which can help them solve some of the difficult challenges they are facing. So, for example, around customer service, sales agent, marketing agents. And if you look at some of these agents, the fundamental problem they are trying to solve is they have some data and they want basically AI to be able to use that data to kind of solve customer problems. It is uh, mm, if from a typical enterprise perspective, for example, in customer support, they have a lot of their KBR articles. That's how humans kind of use them to drive how to kind of respond to customer queries. If agent can do the same, then you have to certainly improve the productivity and improve the overall. In the customer support world, one of the big metrics is the deflection metric, like how many uh, conversations is automation and AI able to handle versus having to escalate to humans. And you can do a very good, achieve amazing results with these kind of agents which can talk to your data and have reasoning and planning. So what Salesforce Agent Force did basically was we build what is a reasoning and planning engine. We built your ability to kind of consume data and gave a system where customers in a super low code way, they can give basically just some, bring their data, bring their tools, bring their instructions on what agent is supposed to do, and quickly put together an agent which can, for example, handle your customer queries or troubleshoot to the extent it can. So overall, I think it's an amazing system which allows lot of these common enterprise problem spaces to become a lot more agentic. And I helped kind of design uh, AI platform and a lot of different pieces of that. So kind of super proud to be part of that journey. And it's amazing that agent force is growing and a lot of customers are adopting it now.
Was there any specific kind of project you're really proud of, or something that you learned kind of working at Salesforce scale? It's probably one of the largest systems out there in terms of the scalability of the agents you need to build. Anything to point out as kind of a good learning point?
Oh, there were so many of those. I'll talk about one project. So, Salesforce basically, what is called the code gen model. So, Salesforce did train its own models for code generation. And the reason was Salesforce writes its code in a language called Apex. It's not something which ChatGPT or Anthropic knows about. It's a very niche, very specific to Salesforce and Salesforce app ecosystem. So what AI research team in Salesforce and we kind of did together was we took all of that Apex code data and pre-trained LLM coding LLM using Apex code along with all the Java, C++, and C Sharp and all the other coding languages, so that the overall uh, code gen family of models, they know how to code Apex code well. And that was super critical for Salesforce to generate basically good code for Salesforce ecosystem. The challenge was in that world we are not using OpenAI or Anthropic. We are hosting that LLM ourselves, and the scale at which Salesforce operates and the number of developers we have, we are serving basically millions and billions of queries per day, and scaling LLM systems to serve that level of queries is super hard. So I think that was probably more on the model and the model infrastructure side than the agent side. But in terms of scalability and reliability, that was fascinating because scaling LLMs is hard. LLMs are big. They need so many GPUs. Managing them with the scarcity of GPUs and the GPU infrastructure you have, and constantly battling with AWS and NVIDIA to kind of get the right set of GPUs, moving from A100 to H100 to H200 to trying to kind of now vie for GB quality of models, but they are now like just coming up on AWS. So I think that world is a very different world than the uh, agent world, but that was very fascinating because that was very much into model optimization, inferencing stacks. How do you use VLLMs of the world? And there are a lot of lessons that if you, I think the big lesson which I think I would say after that is uh, use kind of some of these capabilities around VLLM. Basically VLLM is amazing text in terms in that world. It gives you very optimized ecosystem. Second thing is things are optimized for NVIDIA super well. AMD and others, though seem cheaper, they are the price performance of NVIDIA is so much better because of everything is so optimized for them. So that world is a little bit different than the agent world, but again, a lot of amazing learnings in that. Uh, as well. It was a fun project, and I really enjoyed doing that kind of work as well.
So for the builders in the listening crowd, why is it that hard? But like the transition from NVIDIA to AMD, what did that entail for you in Salesforce? Trying those
Uh,
two different infrastructure uh, layer.
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I guess NVIDIA uh, has a head start and has done like both AMD and NVIDIA have great chips. I think the chips are very awesome. I think the key difference is the software stack and the kernel ecosystem for the both. So for NVIDIA, their CUDA ecosystem is a lot more mature than the Arcom ecosystem from the NVIDIA side, from the AMD side, sorry. And the that's one of the probably the reason why NVIDIA continues to outshine AMD. But in last, I would say 6 months to a year, I have seen AMD made a lot of strides in closing that gap. And as they close that gap, I think the AMD based systems will become better. And I've seen also there is work to be done on these inference stacks like VLLMs to take advantage of chip specific instructions in the way the inferencing gets done. So a lot of techniques like flash attention, kernel attention, flash attention 1, 2, 3, they were designed for NVIDIA GPUs, for A100, for H100, and they were specifically designed for instruction set of NVIDIA. Uh, Having them translated into AMD instruction sets, that took a lot of time and a lot of effort. But that has happened, and now VLLM is working closely with NVIDIA to kind of come up with some of those techniques for AMD ecosystems. And I think that's what is kind of allowing AMD to close the gap, but it is not fully done yet. And I think that's probably one of the big reasons why you see Nvidia still being the king and AMD is trying to catch up.
But when we spoke earlier a lot about AI insecurity, but quickly want to ask you about securing the AI systems themselves, having worked, in the Salesforce environment, what kind of kept you up at night as it relates to the development of Agent Force and AI in general within Salesforce? You know, data leaks, misuse. What was the key topic?
I think that's a great point. I think uh, as we develop AI systems, we need to worry about the security of those AI systems. I believe the number one thing which AI systems are very susceptible to is prompt injection attack. I think the design of whole AI is so prompt focused, and AI trusts everything in the prompt written, and it gives so it allows a user to override or give instructions which could be uh, very specific and make AI kind of do wrong things. I think that is something which is a kind of a big risk with AI systems in my mind, and fundamental flaw with how the AI kind of just works like in that kind of a way. And you have to kind of guard against that behavior, because if you don't proactively guard against that, then somebody can use your AI to override all the guardrails you have done and can basically make AI do bad things. And how do you protect that is uh, more of a constant exercise than a one time thing, where you have to constantly make sure that your guardrails are strong. You have to make sure that you have special filters in your inferencing pipelines to make sure that you are filtering out, you're detecting prompt injection attacks and filtering them out. You need to test it before putting AI systems into production against these kind of prompt injection attacks. I think the second one, which I worry about a lot, is the data poisoning piece. Uh, AI systems are so dependent on the data which comes in. If somebody is able to put a tweak into data or puts into data some malicious information, and AI just reads and acts on top of that, it can basically poison your think AI's thinking and again make AI do bad things. So how, and that can take multiple shapes. One is the data poisoning for the data which gets injected as part of RAG, or the data poisoning for data which gets used for train the models. Both of them basically inform how AI kind of learns from that data. And you need to be have things like data lineage, uh, security on top of data to make sure that you understand where the data came from. And how do you kind of do that at the scale at which data operates, which is like terabytes of data? It can be hard. So how do you at least detect it, and how do you then have proactive guardrails to protect against that? That is a challenge by itself. And yeah, that kind of I worry that somebody is able to kind of poison the data to kind of make AI do bad things. So I think that's another area. There are other threats which have been there around AI doing hallucination, or AI giving information which is factually incorrect, or it is kind of giving acting in bad faith, like for example slanderous information or biased information, or some sort of information which we don't consider right, like a sexual information. So how do you protect AI to not give some of those information? There are many kind of, I would say there are 6 or 7 big aspects of AI which needs to get constantly checked and protected against, and that's security for AI is super critical from that perspective.
Super interesting. Uh, I would also want to ask, how do you think about like the different KPIs going back to kind of security, and what you're trying to optimize for? Is it kind of the time to triage, reducing the backlog, remediation speed, both as like as an enterprise and as a HackerOne kind of vendor?
Yeah, I would say the key KPIs for AI in some of the cybersecurity world. I think one, as you kind of correctly called out, would be time to triage. The Which is basically how long it takes to triage the incoming vulnerabilities coming from hackers. Second would be the time to validate, not just triage. Like how can you validate your vulnerabilities fast, and the false positive and true positive and false negative, the whole matrix for all of those decisions, because you want to make sure that you have triaged them right. You don't have inaccuracies in those, both triage and the validation piece. I would say the from the business perspective, the key metric would be the velocity of the time for the vulnerability to go from hacker to the customer. uh, P95 of that. Like, how long does it take for us to kind of do that? Today, it is in probably days and hours and days, and now it needs to, with AI, it can be in minutes. So, how can we do that? Then, basically, things like the overall productivity of uh, security researchers. How are they able to kind of complete the task faster? And I think those are like productivity metrics are always hard to measure. You need DX kind of a system to measure the productivity. But I would say the productivity of security researcher is going to be another big KPI which we'll kind of want to track. And then something would be like the percentage of things which AI is able to find and then kind of hand over to security researchers to kind of help them solve the overall task. So I think those are some of the kind of the key KPIs. I'm sure there are more, and we can talk about that.
Yeah, we only have a couple more minutes, and before we wrap this up, I hope to kind of ask you what excites you as you look at the next few years. You have such a broad kind of view into AI in different spectrums. So, what are you most excited about if you think about the next 3 5 years?
I think what I'm excited about is uh, AI and the AI capabilities are moving at a breakneck speed. There's so much innovation happening. I feel as we take some of that innovation and apply them in these specific domains like cybersecurity, for me that's like very very exciting, because for me, I am the way I look at my work. It's not just about uh, doing cybersecurity, but making like a impact on an industry which is was very kind of a, I would say, make it more productive and kind of supercharge it the way coding industry has been supercharged. And I think, to me, this ability to make that industry level impact, that is like way super super exciting. And I believe AI kind of allows us to do things which were not possible like even 3 years back. So future is going to be very very different than what it is today, and it's going to be very fast and productive, and I would say very very exciting.
Juan, I think that you're doing a super important job because I remember reading an article by the World Economic Forum from the end of last year, from 2024, where they stated that currently in the market, globally, there is missing 8.5 billion professionals in cybersecurity. And with the productivity that you're giving those professionals, you're giving an important boost to the existing professionals in our market and helping to fix that gap. And the gap that they predicted, the World Economic Forum, is only getting worse. And without people like you that are helping them to be more productive with AI and taking some of the burden off their plate, will be in a much worse state of cybersecurity in the internet. And because of you, we're in a safer place. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you for having me here. Like, I really enjoyed my conversation with you.
Yeah, that's been a good wrap on today's episode. Big thanks to Pawan Agarwal for joining us and sharing how AI and security are converging in the real world. We'll see you next time in the real world of AI. Thank you, Pawan. Thank you, Barak.